Hello and welcome to the class. My name is Daniel, and today we're going to be looking at detailed reading. Now, if you have a question after the class, you can go to the top of the screen and click on the chat icon to send us a message. This is the first of two classes and will last around 15 minutes. First, we're going to talk about what detailed reading is, and then we're going to talk about when to use it in your IELTS exam. So by the end of this session, you'll be more aware of this reading style. Now, during the class, there'll be questions for you to answer. These will appear below the video. I'll tell you when you need to answer them, and I'll give you 10 to 15 seconds to answer each one. But you may want to pause the video to give yourself a bit more time for them. So let's get started. Let's first look at what detailed reading is. Well, it's reading to get a comprehensive understanding of a text or part of a text. And what we mean by this word comprehensive is to fully understand it, like 100 or 95% of it, the majority of it. Well, when should you read in detail? Well, there's a couple of situations. The first would be when you're doing matching headings to paragraph questions. And we're going to see some examples of those in a moment, but they're very, very common in the IELTS reading. Pretty much every single test will have one on it. Another time is when you need to fully understand part of a text. So generally, it could be a paragraph or a section, and you're going to use this strategy in that situation. So how do we do it then? Well, the first step is to read the first two sentences in a paragraph. Now, in academic reading, generally the most important information is contained in the first couple of sentences of a paragraph, the main topic. So that would be step one to this. Then you read the last sentence of that paragraph, and then you would skim the rest of the paragraph for any key words, like most important words or words that you need to try to answer the question. Now, by doing that, you'll have a good picture of most of what is contained in that paragraph. It's important as well that you ignore any words that you don't know. The problem with trying to understand every single word is that it wastes a lot of time, and time is very, very precious in the IELTS reading. So you want to ignore any words you don't know. If you don't know them, there's nothing that can help really. So keep skipping past them and continue trying to understand the whole paragraph rather than specific little details of it. And remember, don't rush. This reading style takes a bit longer than other ones like skimming and scanning, but when you need to do it, you have to do it and you have to take your time. If you rush, you're not going to fully understand the text, or you're not going to fully understand the part of the text that you're reading. So please take your time, do it slowly, and try to get a comprehensive understanding of that part that you're reading. If you do rush it, you'll probably have to just come back again and read it again. So in a way, you're going to waste more time if you do try and rush. Well, let's have a little example here. So we're going to read part of a text called Toki Pona, which is about a language that has been designed or created. So here's one of the paragraphs, and we're going to try to answer this question. So the first one that I'd like you to look at is below the video, and I'd like you to just answer this. How many sentences are in this paragraph? I'm just going to give you 10 to 15 seconds to try that. Okay, so let's look at this together. Well, sentences are easy to see because they'll always have a stop. So we can see we've got one stop here. That's one sentence. We've got another stop here. So that's two sentences. There's another stop there. So that's three sentences. There's another stop there. That's four. And then there's a stop there. So there's five sentences in this paragraph. So if we were using the strategy from before, we'd read the first two and the last one, and then we just look at the keywords in the middle. Now, I'd like you to look at the next question below the video and answer this. Are there any words that you don't know? I'll just give you 10 to 15 seconds to think of that. Okay, so probably the answer is yes, because it has this word here, conlang, which you've probably never seen before. But the good thing is that here it gives this definition. It means it's a constructed language. So that's explaining what that means. Now, all the other words, if you don't know them, they're probably not super important. If it is really important, like this word conlang, the writer will probably give you a definition of it. And you can still understand the general meaning without understanding every single word. Now look at question 3 below the video, and I want you to say, what is the paragraph about? Is it about why the language was created, the continued development of the language, or what Toki Pona is? I'll give you 10 to 15 seconds to think of that. Okay, let's look together. Well, in these first two sentences, it says when it was created. So it talks about who made it, Sonia Lang. She created the language. And then it tells us a bit about it. It says it has 120 words and no use of tenses, and that it's no ordinary language. So that's in the first two sentences, we can get that. Then in the last sentence, it says this is a principle reflected in the name of the language. The language means speak simply or good communication, among other interpretations. And we can skim the middle and you can just see like stuff like it's a con language, a constructed language, and it was a product of Lang's informal experiments. So just by looking at those things, we can see, does it talk about why the language was created? No, it doesn't say why. Does it talk about the continued development of the language, how it's developing now? No, it doesn't describe that at all. Is it talking about what the language is? Yes, it's giving us an explanation of what is the language. So it's a constructed language and it has no tenses and it uses only 120 words. So 3, or I, is the correct answer to that one here. So by using that detailed reading strategy, we haven't had to read every word. You've just read the first two sentences, the last sentence, and you've just looked at some of the most important words in the middle. And by doing that, we can already answer this matching headings to paragraphs question. Now let's have another bit of practice. So here is a bit of a bigger paragraph here, and it's labeled paragraph F. And what we're going to try and do is say, what is the best paragraph heading for this paragraph? Would it be what to leave in and what to leave out? Which colors should be included? Or copying the languages of the past? Now, I want you to look at the next question below the video and choose one of those options. And remember to do this strategy we just spoken about, the detailed reading strategy. So read the first two sentences, read the last sentence, and just quickly look at the keywords in the middle. Okay, well, let's have a little look now together. So we're going to start by first going over the first sentence. So it says, it talks about the creation of her new language. She worked against the usual trend of lexical construction, whereby languages add their vocabularies organically over time through exposure to new items and concepts. Now, this one here, she said she worked against it, whereas here it says copying the languages of the past. So it can't be that one, so it's not the third option. It then says she started with a long list of terms and decided which were dispensable, so which you could throw away, and ended with an array of words, including nouns, adjectives, and verbs, which she felt covered the basic universal concepts effectively and could be combined to create any conceivable item or concept. So from this first two paragraphs, we've got a lot of information there already. Sorry, from the first two sentences. And then we need to read the last sentence, and it says, ultimately, she decided to translate only the three primary colors, leaving all of the shades and combinations of these, purple being described as lasso, loje, blue, red. So here it's talked about colors. So you might think, okay, it's about which colors should be included. But that's just the last sentence, okay? If you remember in this beginning bit, it talks about which words were dispensable and all the words, the nouns, the adjectives, the verbs that she decided to include. So the colors was just an example of some of the words she decided to include and some that she decided to leave out. So actually the whole paragraph is talking about what words to leave in and what to leave out. So the correct answer in this situation would be I. So we can really see how a quite big paragraph, that's quite a large paragraph we just read, but we read it quite quickly. We just read the first two sentences, the last sentence, and looked at a couple of words in the middle. But even just from the first two sentences to the last sentence, we got a really good idea of the general meaning of that paragraph. And that is the aim of detailed reading. And it can really, really, really save you a lot of time. Okay, if you have any questions, remember you can go to the top of the screen and click on the chat icon to send us a message. Now remember to take class 2 on this topic and to do the online training and practice activities. Thank you very much for coming to the class. We'll see you again. Goodbye.